Two, three.
Good evening, good evening, good evening to another installment of A&M Political Views. I am your host, Avie
And
Watts.
I am Michelle Tyson.
And today, oh my God, you guys, um, I know we all are aware of what happened down at the Capitol, in regards to it being, you know, I guess pretty much broken into and just, um, you know, breached, as they call it. I don't know. But anyway, it's kind of funny because it's almost like the president put a hit out on his own country, pretty much. And what's crazy is, I mean, not and I don't wish bad on anything on anyone, but I mean, and we all know that if it was different, if it was us, it would have been a totally different outcome. Because it's funny because we know somebody. Actually, we just interviewed someone uh, that was, she was a part of the Black Lives Matter movement, and she went down to do a peaceful protest in Kentucky and was arrested. As far as we know, I haven't seen any arrests made based on what was going on last night. I think it was four maybe that were killed in the entire thing of all of that. They claimed they wasn't prepared. That was the funny part. They didn't think they were prepared. The police, but it's funny because when the police came to when they saw them coming to the door, the police had their hands in their pockets. I saw it for myself. Um, Now, once again, I don't see. It almost takes away. We don't. I don't. We don't seem. We don't feel secure as as what we used to, because at one point that was unheard of to even think of even walking on the yard of the Capitol, or even being, or even much less breaking in. And it seemed like it was too easy. It was too easy for them to get into there. And at the same time, what did they accomplish? That's one thing that I just don't get.
Can I interject
Please
for
do.
a second? Because I think that the police were prepared because they did board up some things in Lansing ahead of time. So they knew the backlash um, that was coming if the Senate was to go all Democrat. So they knew, they just didn't want to do anything. Um, and neither
The
did
nation
our,
capital.
yeah, they knew. They definitely knew. I feel like it was a setup to try to stop,
Scare tactics.
yeah,
Yeah,
to
I believe that.
intervene, um, as far as making President Biden officially our president. And that's why the number 45 did not intercede at all. That's why he gave direction to continue to protest, but protest, quote unquote. I guess he's, claiming,
Yeah.
you know, peaceful protest. But he did tell them to continue to protest until Biden stepped in and say, hey, you need to tell these people they need to go home. And at the end of the
But he
night,
said it behind. But and that's the crazy part. He said it behind Twitter, I think. He didn't make a formal speech, like any other president would, if it was.
no, it wasn't on Twitter. He came.
Or was it? It was on social media.
I think he did a live or something.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it
Okay, I
wasn't.
didn't see that. Okay.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but it wasn't his normal. It wasn't like the normal.
Formal, formal type speech
saying,
that,
okay,
press
hey.
conference and his reporters asking questions, and he didn't do none of that. He sat behind and
like he was in front of the White House or something, or one of his homes or wherever, and he was just like, with this false cry, basically.
yeah, like stand down, y'all chill out, just chill out. I mean, he the one sent it, and that leads me to my next point. People of color. Okay, as we can see, the system is, and I'm gonna just say it's not built for us to succeed. It's made for us to fail. There are ways we can beat this system, because from what we all can see, we don't know who. I mean, as far as the in a presidential, I mean, the politics, the government, we don't know we can rely on. So the only other people we can rely on is ourselves. And one thing I'm it's starting to hit me because, okay, for example, if we're in the city of Muskegon Heights, the city of Muskegon Heights alone, what we have, like 10,000 residents, 10,000 people in total. My thing is this: as much money as black people spend on clothes, PS5s, just we spend a lot of money. We actually the biggest consumers. We the biggest consumers. Period. Um, if everybody, and it just hit me, and Michelle and I was talking about this the other day. If everybody in the city of Muskegon, 10,000 people, and we just saying everybody just to make the math easy, give, let's say $10 in 1 month. That's what, $100,000 in a month. You know how much money that is? I mean, just imagine in a year. That's what, 1.2. That's just off $10. $10. My thing, we can't rely on we relying on them too much because, okay, it's one thing to vote. I encourage voting. We both encourage voting.
Yes.
No, we have workshops on how to vote. We really encourage voting. But after that vote is cast and made on whatever candidate you choose, we as people, we still have a duty or something we have to do after that vote. Because one thing I noticed again, and we were talking about this the other day as well. Okay, after the election, all that Black Lives Matter, it kind of disintegrated. I mean, I ain't gonna say disintegrated, but it faded away. It was, and again, I stand on that. I think at one point it was a fad because again, all the NBA players, they had their stuff on, supporting it, kneeling with the national anthem. When they started kneeling, they started backing up Kaepernick and all of that. But my point is, if we keep that momentum going, well, we have to keep that momentum going as individuals. We can't just make a vote and just give it to that person to do everything. That no, we can't do that. We can't do that. And again, we as individuals, okay, and people always say, okay, it starts with education. Okay, if you think it starts with education, start something with tutoring. I don't know, but we have to pick a lane and take it and go
I think
because
it starts with education. Use the early childhood reading. Start reading with your
something right,
kids,
something that's pertaining to
even before
education.
they come out the womb. I mean, kid, when a baby's inside a mother's womb, they hear the music, they hear the words. So when they come out, it's a lot easier for them to process, and for you to continue that work. So if you start teaching, you have to start teaching at home first, because if you look at it, before they get to preschool, who's teaching them everything? You are. So we start teaching at home first before they even get to school. Then I think that'll help smooth things over. Well, I'm not gonna say smooth things over. That will help.
That's a start.
That'll be a way to at least a step in the right direction. Um, Without us even trying to make a change for anything, um, we will never get in. We will continuously be at a standstill. But last night's fiasco was just totally ridiculous, totally out of line. And it just basically shows us, if you have money and you have the leadership, you can basically do whatever you want to do. Um, and you as you can see, as we all a lot of people are saying, it's going to be a lot of people resigning, and I'm pretty sure there will be. And I think that's sad, because that means those people were only in a position to get something out of it for themselves. So it's real hard for our communities to flourish when we are looking at our government at a higher level, on a higher level,
And at a
and
certain
and
standard.
a certain standards. We're seeing, like, hey, if I don't get my way, I'm finna sit up here and throw a temper tantrum. If I don't get my way, I'm finna say, um, fraud. I'm gonna say everything possible and do everything possible to make the other person look bad. And that's a real bad image to show our young people. And last night was just really, really,
Prime
really,
example.
yes, a prime example because you literally, like you said, you saw people standing around with their arms put in their pockets and
They was taking selfies with the police. Did you
yes,
see that?
I mean, taking
I'm like, come on,
selfies.
man. Come
If it
on,
had
man.
been a Black Lives Matter protest
Come
or
on, man.
any
It could have been a
protest,
black reporter. He would have
yes.
walked up to that.
And
Come on,
you know,
man.
people saying, "Oh, there was some blacks out there." Them 3 or 4 black people that was out there, they bumped their head anyway. It was something wrong with them anyway.
Right.
Somebody put something in their drink and they ain't know no better. That's why they was out there. So you can't use that as an excuse. It was nothing but white supremacists out there. It was nothing but
Trump
people, nothing
supporters.
but Trump supporters all day long. People who basically only think for themselves and only think about themselves. You cannot tell me one time where a black protest has actually entered any official governmental building.
Did you see any arrests made? Or
It was
have you?
supposed to be like 3 or 4 well, no, more than that. It was supposed to be like it was some
Under
arrests
10.
made. Yeah, it was some arrests made, but they're supposed to be actually trying to gather all the videos, all the footage that was
For
from
what?
the
They got
place
in there now?
because they are now supposed to be prosecuting everybody that they can
That
is that
participated.
participated in the event. And I think that's the step in the right direction because at first the police wasn't doing anything because
They was standing around with their
if it
hands
had
in
been
their
a Black
pockets.
Lives Matter, they wouldn't even got close to them windows to even bust them windows out.
No.
Let's keep it real. They wouldn't even got up on them steps like that. So let's just keep it real and be honest. And that's not right. That's not fair. That shows that we don't have a say so. We don't have a right. And yes, that we do get treated unfairly. And it's real sad when our own local leaders right here in Muskegon County are out there doing the same thing that they sit up here and say Democratic black people do. Well, we seen y'all had 2 busloads. They
From
had
Muskegon.
from Muskegon. That's crazy. So I mean, come on now. Let's we gotta change this. And we're not gonna be able to change it if we just sit around, sit on our hands, and tuck in our
And
coattails
complain.
and complain. I mean, if you're gonna complain, get out there and do something about it. If you're gonna complain, get out there and help make change. Write letters, get active, get
Participate in
involved.
something.
You
Community
know,
cleanups. Non-profits.
help educate. You know, whatever you
Donate.
can.
Yeah.
You know, share information. Some people do read. I mean, just share it. Put it on your timeline. And that's one thing people don't realize. The more you put on your timeline and share, that's informational, people will read it. And for those that don't like reading a long lengthy items, they have other people that do like to read. So when they sit in there and they're
At least they can
conversating,
pass the
you
information
know,
on
yeah, they can
verbally.
pass that information on verbally. So please share everything as much as possible because when you sit up there and you share that, that's knowledge, and knowledge is power. So I mean, gain it as much as you can. Um, like I said, last night was just it was I had to stop watching because I'm like, you know what? This is just crazy. I remember the Rodney King era. I was living in California at that time. So to sit up here and watch what happened so and for it to be called
A
a peace,
breach.
yeah, a
They
breach.
breached.
That they only called it a breach after people was like, why y'all call it a peaceful protest? Because it wasn't a peaceful protest. And then they even had kids out there. They had their whole families, their dogs. I mean, come on now. So
Telling them
no,
they want to see the
yeah,
experience
and I
the
believe that whoever was in charge of the police at that time, they need to be
fire.
Yeah,
or look investigated or
they need to
something.
be investigated. It needs to be
Hmm.
looked at because I don't understand. I've
Hmm.
never ever seen a protest to where they allow someone, anyone, to get that
Yeah,
close. You
much
know,
less.
that's utterly ridiculous to me. So yeah,
And
I'm
then they
just
were in
kind of disgusted.
hotels. They booked rooms. And they were sitting in different lobbies of the hotels, bragging about what they did, and some of them stole some of the what senator got this in the mail stole. I
Yeah,
mean, it's not funny, but how can you let somebody get that close to you to do something like that? I mean, and to the point now, it almost seemed like it was planned
it was planned.
or
It
scripted or
definitely was
something.
planned. They planned those rallies are pre-planned. So you
Hmm.
can't tell me it wasn't planned. It was orchestrated and it was ridiculous.
Hmm.
Yeah, they talk about, black people rallies, but what they the display that they put on yesterday was no different than us. Only thing they didn't do was loot last night.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they looted.
Oh yeah, well,
It
yeah,
was just
in the
in a
middle of the
different way.
night.
Yeah,
No, they
yeah,
ended
yeah.
up some people
Looting the town.
I think they just looted the town, and it was a little chaos toward the end of the evening, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing, too strenuous or,
Mm-hmm.
but the point of it is the way it was accepted,
Mm-hmm.
by the police was just a slap in the face to every black person, and
Yeah. And see that's why I kept. That's why I was saying I don't. How can you feel secure if they can pull off something like that? If a
mhm,
group of people can pull off something like that, they can break into the nation's capital, blow through the police. Police don't do nothing. I mean, how secure can you feel? And they getting. I mean, they putting the lives in danger of senators and elected officials and
mhm,
these people. I mean, you allow that, and okay, and with all of this, I know I say black people a lot. We say black people. When we say this, just because we are pro black does not mean we are anti white. This is just
right.
to those that apply. So we just want to get that kind of cleared up because we don't want you to think we are a prejudiced or racist group of people. No, no. Um, and actually, that leads me to what we are going to do. I don't know. I think I'm gonna let Miss Michelle announce that.
Well, we have coming up a National Day of Racial Healing. So
Um,
I think, like, really this is coming in a good time, actually, right after this chaos has occurred, to try to build back racial relationships between all nationalities,
all races,
all
all
race,
ethnicities.
all every, all
Hmm.
of it. And what we actually are doing is we decided to have a political panel discussion on how do
Title.
we begin to racially heal. So we do have um, City Manager Troy Bell. We have City High Kelly Kitchen,
Council member,
Council Member. I'm sorry,
councilwoman,
Councilwoman. Then we also have the newly elected Paula
judge.
Judge Paula Baker Mathis. Then we also have the
Judge Matt.
newly appointed Muskegon County's Democratic uh,
Chairman.
president, Chairman President Ryan Bennett. Then we also have the Muskegon County's Democratic Secretary, Miss Sonia Hernandez.
Mm.
And then, last but not least, we also have joining us Mr. Floyd Cook Jr., who will be representing the Muskegon County's NAACP.
We got
So,
some heavy hitters on.
yes, I'm so looking forward to it because I
Yes,
think this is
yes,
going to be a great panel of this discussion.
yes.
Great minds, different talents.
Yeah, and they'll pretty
Um,
much be covering um based on their positions, you know, how would they begin the process of racial healing in a nutshell? So we look forward to, um, you know, because I know they're gonna have some good input, some great ideas, like Michelle was saying. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a good panel to watch. So make sure you guys tune in. It's gonna be what, January 19th.
January 19th at 4 p.m. And it will be
Interesting panel. We got some heavy
very,
hitters.
very,
We got some
yes,
heavy hitters.
yes. So please tune in that day. And also remember, January 19th, the whole purpose of it is to bring our community together as a whole. We've been divided for so long, so long. And with politics, it's bad enough we're already um, divided. Let's at least try to start mending and blending together as one. That way, when it comes down to the government, they can see how well we blend and mend, and maybe they can start beginning to blend and mend, and we can start getting things accomplished. So, looking forward to seeing everyone, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Tonight was just a little bit different for us. We just kind of wanted to give our view and our take on what happened yesterday because it is the talk of the town, it is talk of the nation right now, and we just really wanted to give our view and our take on things.
And what needs to be done after this.
Yes.
So thank you for tuning in to another episode of A&M Political Views. We are your host, Abiance Watts.
And I'm Michelle Tyson.
And we hope to see you soon.